Hi, I'm Aaliyah Woods, co-founder of Commonwealth Urban Farms. This is our Beginning Gardener video series designed to help you have a successful garden, even if you've never planted a seed in your life. So today's topic is seeding broccoli for transplanting later in August. But first we're going to take a look at our garden so far. So our Sungolds are doing fantastic. Got lots of little tomatoes to pick. The plants are hanging out over the top of the cage. They look really good. Our peppers over here. So this is our giant red Marconi sweet pepper, and you can see it's getting some sun scald right there from being in that exposed to that hot western sun. This one was a little more protected and it still looks fine. I'm going to give them another week. They'll be darker red. We'll harvest them then. Here's our shishito peppers, which look really great. This one's already turning red. We actually want to harvest shishitos when they're green. So I'm going to go ahead and pull these off, and we'll roast those and eat them. Shishito peppers are wonderful when they are roasted, like crazy wonderful. All right, here's another one that's almost starting to turn. All right, those are our first shishitos for the season. Yay. And the herbs look great over here. Our purple basil and parsley and dill, pretty dill flower. And then we've got Genovese green basil here and the chard. Now let's go look at our okra. All right, well we have okra that's past ready to harvest. I didn't even realize it because the plants are still so short. I didn't suspect that they were producing, but you can see we've got pods that are getting large and woody. So these are actually too far gone. They're not going to taste good because they're not soft anymore. But we'll go ahead and harvest them. If we don't harvest them, they'll go to seed, and once the plant goes to seed, then it's not going to produce so much. But as long as we're harvesting, really just about every day on okra, you can harvest, then the plant will produce more. Now, young, tender baby okra is an absolute delicacy. I love to eat it raw. First time I heard about that, a friend told me, I was like, you're crazy, I'm not eating okra raw. But it's wonderful, it's juicy and crisp and just a delightful treat in the middle of summer. But you have to get them young, and you have to get them fresh. Don't try this with grocery store okra. Grow your own when you can pick it and eat it right away. Here's some more okra over here, and then our red okra right here. So in my experience, red okra has to be picked a little bit younger than green okra. It tends to get old and woody faster. This is still a little bit young. Here you can see the okra flower. Okra is in the same family as hibiscus. It has a really pretty flower on it. They only last one day. They're very attractive to bees, so it serves well as a bee crop also. You may remember that back in May, we planted some yard-long bean seeds. They did not do so well. We planted them right here next to the porch where they can climb up a string trellis that we will erect. But during some of those heavy rains, most of the seeds got washed away, and then the ones that did germinate, something ate them, and they were just a goner. So I started some in 6-packs. I wouldn't normally recommend starting beans as transplants because the bean roots don't take well to transplanting. But in this case, I figured it was my only chance to get yard-longs going. So we're going to do it and hope for the best. I've prepared this area, put down some compost. Yard-long beans are in the same family as cowpeas, so they're very heat tolerant, much more heat tolerant than, say, green beans. Green beans generally give out in the middle of the summer for us in Oklahoma, but yard-long beans will happily grow all summer long. So we're just going to pop it in, push the dirt around, and we'll do a whole row along here of yard-long beans. I think they're going to be fine. This location is on the west side of the house, so it's in shade all morning during the summer. It will only get afternoon shade. So these beans are not going to grow as fast or produce as much as if they were in full sun. But they'll still produce some, and they'll be really pretty on the west side, giving shade to the house. Now we're going to start some broccoli. Broccoli is a cool season crop, right? We harvest in the spring or we harvest it in the fall. Fall is a great time to grow broccoli in Oklahoma. So why are we talking about it now in the middle of summer? Because we need to get started now in order to have a crop in the fall. If we seed the seeds right now, so we'll use little containers and get them started now, in 4 weeks they'll be ready to transplant. That will be the middle of August. 2 months after that, they'll be ready to harvest. So that will be the middle of October. That's perfect. The weather has cooled down. but we're very unlikely that we would have a freeze before the end of October. So we have at least a 2-week window, maybe longer, maybe 3 or 4 week window before it freezes to harvest our broccoli. If we wait until, say, the 1st of September to start the broccoli seeds, it'll be way on into late fall and early winter before it's ready to harvest. Most broccoli varieties will freeze. They will die if we get a hard freeze. So we've got to scale back, start back in the middle of summer and get them started. We're going to plant 2 varieties today and then another variety in a couple weeks. So the first variety we're going to plant is called Green Magic. That's a standard green heading broccoli. It's a great broccoli. It has very high heat tolerance. So when we transplant it out in mid-August, those little 4-week-old seedlings will actually most likely do very well. I've had great experience transplanting even on hot summers in the middle of August. The young seedlings, they're kind of at the teenager stage and they're pretty resilient, as are human teenagers. The babies are less resilient. We're going to kind of baby them a little bit for the first couple weeks, and the adults are less resilient, but those teenagers are in great shape. Then we're going to plant another variety called Happy Rich. This is a sprouting broccoli, sometimes called mini broccoli. This is my favorite broccoli. It is sweet. It tastes like broccoli, but it's like a super good broccoli. If you're kind of on broccoli, try Happy Rich. It's a fantastic flavor. And then the last one is Arcadia, but we'll wait till later to plant that because that's a really cold tolerant broccoli, not as heat tolerant. I don't want to transplant that in the middle of August. We'll wait a few weeks on that. So let's get our containers ready. I've got some of our homemade potting soil here already mixed up. Toss it into our 6-packs. Give it a little shake down. I'll get another one started. All right, so I've filled the containers. I've given them a few taps to get them to settle down. Now I'm going to make a little indentation in the center of each cell, and that is where the broccoli seed is going to go. That keeps the broccoli seed, those little tiny seeds, from rolling over to the edge. Ideally, each transplant is in the middle of the cell, and that gives the roots the most room to spread out. So we'll start with my favorite, Happy Rich. Now on the package it says germination rate is 99%. These seeds are from April of 2018, so they're a year old. We might not get 99% germination, but generally on all the brassicas we get really good germination. So I'm going to just put 1 seed. If 2 fall in, that's okay, but I'm just aiming for 1 or maybe 2 seeds per cell. All right, that's Happy Rich. And now, before I forget, I'm going to label it. Really easy to forget. So I'm putting the name, Happy Rich, what kind of vegetable it is, broccoli, and today's date. Which is July 12th. That will help me remember when I seeded them and when it's time to transplant them out. And then I'm going to take a little bit more potting soil and just very gently cover those seeds. Rule of thumb is cover the seed twice the depth of the seed. So on something like broccoli seeds, which are tiny, we don't need very much coverage. Now let's do the Green Magic. So this is our standard broccoli. You can see these seeds are little tiny things. And we'll drop 1 or maybe 2 in each cell. And then just barely cover them up. All right, now to water them, I could take my watering can and water them, but that's likely to push those tiny seeds around. So the method I prefer is to use a leak-proof tray, fill it with water, and then put the pots in that. That way, they'll soak up the water from underneath. The seeds won't get moved around, and it completely saturates the soil. So I'll wait on these 6-packs until I can see that the top of the soil is moist. That means it's wicked the moisture all the way up to the very top, and the whole mixture of soil is saturated. It won't dry out as fast that way. So that's a great way to get started. Then I'll put it in someplace warm. Broccoli seeds like warm temperatures to germinate. 80 degrees would be fine, which is about what we have these days. As soon as it germinates, I need to make sure that it gets some sun. Now, on those little baby seedlings, in the middle of July, putting it outside in full sun is going to be a little rough by late afternoon. So I'll give it some shade in the afternoon. But I want to make sure they have full sun all morning at least until early afternoon. And then gradually give them more and more sun as they get bigger until they're hardened off and ready to go out in the garden in mid-August. We order a lot of our seeds from Johnny's Selected Seeds in Maine, and they have a great chart that shows the different broccoli varieties, which ones do better in cool weather and which ones do better in warm weather. One of the reasons I like Green Magic is because it has very good heat tolerance. So transplanting them out in the middle of August, they can handle it. The mini broccolis grow faster and mature faster, so we should be able to get and harvest from them earlier in the fall than the Green Magic. Thanks for watching. Happy gardening.